Let's take a look here at some of the cleavages in Nigeria. So, looking at their citizens, society, state, civil society, all that stuff. A little introduction here. Nigeria has some big obstacles because of their establishing democracy. It's not very old. A lot of the aspects were due to that they have were from the UK and the British rule, but they're trying to kind of get away from that. There's a lot of poverty gap between rich and poor, literacy rates. Um, but after independence was declared, a lot of these groups were battling for power. So poverty, 6% of all Nigerians live below the poverty line. Some of them are in absolute poverty. 63% of Nigerians live on less than $1 a day. So that gap between the rich and the poor is very unequal. Few people are very wealthy. Most are dirt poor. That gap will become smaller than near. It does not look like it's going to get smaller. It's just going to grow. So their Gini index of 0.43 against the formula measures the amount of economic inequality in a society. So again, the gap 43 or 0.43 is not very good compared to most countries. Another thing to deal with health issues, a very high rate of HIV and AIDS. 1 out of 11 people suffer from that, and it takes a huge toll on their economy, society. The government has done little about it, passing on to like outside organizations, non-governmental organizations from different parts of the world. Again, a lot of HIV positive as well. The government has provided some clinical drugs, however, it only reaches a few thousand citizens. The literacy rate. So if you look at the United States, like 99 to 100, UK as well. China's up there. Russia's way up there. Mexico's about 94%. Um, Again, 82% for women in China, 80% in Iran for women. But a huge gap between male and female, 75% and 60%. Higher literacy rate than most African countries, but as well below the world average. Female literacy rate is lower in the north, and that's because of the Muslim population, influence of the traditional values regarding Muslim or Islamic faith, and women having any education. So talking about some more cleavages, ethnicity, there are 250 to 400 different ethnic groups in Nigeria. Um, House of Fulani is one of them, Igbo and Yoruba, and these three groups, have their own language, communicate differently, and feel animosity towards each other. They want different things. So again, they play a significant role in your socialization, which then leads to kind of how you view different policies in the government structure. So looking at these different groups, House of Fulani, they're a Muslim group found in northern Nigeria. Um, Biggest ethnic group. Your second largest is your Yoruba, and it's very diverse. Some practice Islam, some practice Christianity, found in the southwest. And your third largest, the Igbo, is practice Christianity, the southeast Nigeria. They were the individuals who tried to kind of separate in the Biafran War. They lost to Nigeria. So again, 50% practice Islam, 40% Christianity. Some have their own native religion. Again, reinforces this ethnic cleavage in Nigeria. There's a lot of tension there between the Christians because they were, and the Muslims. Christians were treated much better under British rule. Another thing also, there's tension because Nigerians decide the role of Sharia law in Nigeria's government. Some people feel they should use more of it, some less. So region north and south. In 55, Nigeria was split into three federated regions divided primarily by ethnicity and religion. It was also split in north and south because of the Muslim-Christian split. So taking a look at the map there, some states use Sharia law in some of their local government structures. That's found in the north. If you look at then different political parties and the results, so in 2011, the religious division, so the Christian PDP candidate winning a lot of those southern states, and the north supported the Muslim candidate. Some urban-rural differences. Most newspapers, interest groups, political organizations are in the urban cities, the large cities. Most protests happen there as well, fighting for different things. Social class, again, elites. Then there's everyone else. A small group of elites who gain wealth. They control things like oil and natural resources, and then a lot of corruption there as well. So, how to fight this corruption? One of the ways Nigerians have a negative view of the government based on solid evidence that there are a lot of corrupt individuals, and Transparent International kind of points that out when they always rank them, and they're usually towards the bottom. In recent years, the corruption has decreased because the election of Yar'Adua, who was first president, was not a military general, so all these military generals were somewhat corrupt. If you're looking at economic and financial crimes, so the EFCC Commission is an organization to fight this corruption. The head of it, Ribadu, had gained positive reputation for charging and prosecuting individuals. Unfortunately, the president then removed him probably because he was doing his job. Once he prosecuted Ibori of the oil-rich Delta states, part of that party, he was reassigned to get different training. So they're trying to fight it within their own government, but government officials aren't allowing it. Some protests and political participation. Since democracy established in 1999, a lot of ethnic and religious groups and movements have occurred to address their grievances. International oil companies are always targeted because of the treatment of workers and the corruption in the oil fields. Many oil companies have left Nigeria blaming the government for its inability to control these protests, so they don't feel safe and they don't feel like they should be doing business there. Again, it's affected the energy markets, higher prices for oil because of that. Another big cleavage is Boko Haram, a terrorist organization. When Goodluck Jonathan was elected, many people thought the informal rule of alternating presidents from North and South had been violated because he kind of fell into the position when he was the vice president and then re-ran and won the election. So as a protest group from the North carried out attacks and bombings, the goal is to widen the application of Sharia law. They want Sharia law to control Nigeria because of their Islamic faith. They think the West is sinful. So the Islamic fundamentalist group, again, Boko Haram, has been responsible for church bombings, executions, kidnappings. They want to create Nigeria in a theocracy, so similar to Iran in a sense, but they're using terrorist acts to try to get their way. So if you look at bombs and shootings throughout the north, and then one of the last one, there's some Niger Delta violence. So militants in the Niger Delta burn oil fields. They want more profits. People are corrupt, and they're not giving it back to the public and the people off these profits. So they're protesting. And then there is also environmental damage that people will protest. So there's another kind of conflict there that Nigeria has to deal with.